For my birthday, I got this Dungeons & Dragons cookbook, and I've been working my way through the recipes. A lot of them are really good. My favorite part is that they have the menus from 4 of the different taverns inside. And while I was going over the menus, I realized that not all the items listed on the menu actually have recipes in the cookbook. So I'm going to make a series of videos for the items on the menu that are not in the book. I'm going to start with the Yawning Portal menu, and I'm going to do the porridge and cream for 3 copper pieces as my first recipe. So for my porridge and cream, I'm going to use oatmeal as the base. So the first step is to cook the oatmeal according to your package, because depending on if you have sprouted, rolled, instant, they all just say different things. So first, you simmer the water. Mine was, I think, 3/4 cup to 1/2 cup of oats. I don't remember what kind of oats these are. I just have the ratio. Okay, now that the water's simmering, I'm going to turn it down to actual simmering heat. I'm going to dump in the oats. They're all wet. And then I'm going to cover it but tilted so that it doesn't starch everywhere. And I'm going to set the timer for the appropriate amount of time that your oats call for. Mine are 2 minutes. I'm pretty sure these are quick or instant. When I say starch everywhere, I mean that things like oats and rice and such, when simmering, will make fuzzy bubbles that will come up. And if you're not watching the pot and it's too high a temperature and it's a bit more than a simmer, closer to a boil, it will end up bubbling starch bubbles over the edge of your pan and all over your stove and making a huge mess that takes days to clean up. So from experience with this oatmeal, I know it's not actually 2 minutes, it's longer. I'm just checking it to be sure. You can tell the oatmeal's cooked when it's absorbed most of the water and it doesn't look like grains sitting in water. It looks more like soupy kind of, stickiness in between. Saucy, it's not real runny and liquidy. So you can see in kind of the starchy bubbles. It's better when I take the lid off. And see, it's quick, the starchy bubbles in there. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is just about cooked. So now that my oats are just about cooked, I'm not going to turn it off, but I'm going to turn it down a little. And now for the cream part, you need cream. I'm going to put about a tablespoon, but I am not going to measure it because I don't want to dirty the tablespoon. About a tablespoon. I'm going to stir that in. The reason I left it on still is because that was cold. I could have pulled it out and had it at room temperature. But again, I didn't want to dirty a tablespoon just for a tiny bit of cream. So I'll just let it heat back up on the stove. And that would be how you make porridge with cream if you just want it plain. But I like to add walnuts, which yes, I keep in the fridge because they taste bad after a few days if you don't keep them in the fridge. So, look for some smaller bits in here. I'm just throwing them in there. I don't really have this set amount. I just like some crunchiness to my oatmeal, which is probably weird, but that's weird. And if you are going to add the walnuts, never dump them out of the bag because you will get this shell. Because there's always little bits of shell that fall to the bottom of the bag, and it'll taste terrible. So I just stir that in. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. I'm gonna let it all sit for 1 minute to kind of come together. And this time I am gonna cover it. The burners off. Okay, it's been sitting for a few minutes. I just want to get the walnuts warm because they came out of the fridge. And then I'm gonna let it sit in the bowl for a bit because it is always way too hot to just stick in your mouth right after cooking. That's just how it is. So let's put this in. And then I'm going to immediately fill this with soapy water because otherwise it will never come clean. If you're going to eat before you clean up, this is what you should do with an oatmeal pan so that it does not get really, really sticky and impossible to clean. That's it. Thanks for watching. Please remember to hit the notification bell so that you can see the rest of the videos in this series.